Hi, Alexis. We're going to take a look at your aesthetics and control posting. So we'll jump right in, just kind of look at the overview of the images that you have posted here. Looks like you've got your how to hold. You got some good exposures here, a little contrasty, but they're there. Very good quality of light, by the way. This all looks excellent as far as quality of light on this first one. They're all there. Looks like you've got your shutter speed, sort of here's there, and good, good, good. Looks like we're jumping into the depth of field. I'm kind of moving around here, seeing what we have here. Shutter 2 seconds, 3.2 seconds. And then we have the equivalent exposures. We'll sort of sort this out a little bit. The labeling's a little bit confusing to me because I don't have them separated out. Oh, there we are. No, it's a little bit confusing on the labeling, but we'll work that out. I'm sure that it's making sense to you. Maybe I'm just overlooking it a little bit. Let's see. Look, we'll go through it in just another one. Shutter, 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 shutter. And then aperture. Okay, so you're working with aperture now. 5, 6, 8, 11, 16, 22. Okay, now I get it. All right, no problem there. I just kind of got a little bit turned around there for a moment. All right, so taking a look at your shutter speeds. This one was really about identifying the consequence of varying shutter speeds and the threshold at which you can no longer hold it, the camera steady, and then what you can do with things like this where you have camera movement happening, right? So when we have the camera movement that's happening, it can be one of those situations where I'm just pulling back out just to verify that I'm recording. For some reason, I wanted to make sure that I'm recording. Yep, I'm recording. So we're going to go ahead and screen share one more time here. Okay, so when you have the movement like this, it's really more about what are you going to do with it, because you can't hold the camera steady at this point, so you kind of have to just sort of go with it, and you can get to the point where it's this abstract, or you can kind of work with the energy here you're doing here and kind of just try to manipulate it in a way that gives you the energy, but just a little bit of detail. It's about exploring that phenomenon there. The 15th of a second is usually the more frustrating one because it's not really fast enough to create a lot of movement, but at the same time, it is not quite slow. I'm sorry, it's not quite long enough to create the movement, but not quite fast enough for you to hold it perfectly steady. By the way, this one's a really cool shot. The highlight is a little bit close to the edge there, but the quality of light that you've got going on here is very lovely. You've got a little bit of detail going on here, the texture. It looks very natural. It's a shame that the highlight is right on the edge there. If it was over just a little bit more, or if it just were a little bit of a different place, but quality of light there is exquisite. You're really working with some beautiful lighting here. That's beautiful lighting. The angle of lighting here, I'm really liking what I'm seeing as far as the quality of light that you're working with here. Very, very good. I want to encourage you to keep that part of it up. All right, so looking at the aperture now, the aperture is depth of field, and what I wanted you to explore, what I'm trying to share with everybody here, is connecting the apertures, those numbers, f8, 5.6, 11, all of those numbers to a visual, because until you do, they're just abstractions, right? I mean, they're just numbers. And so when we're looking at them, first thing to understand is as the number gets bigger, the hole gets smaller. So 11 represents a smaller hole than 5.6. 8 is in between those two. What are those numbers? Those are whole numbers. So 5, 6, 8, 11, 16, 22, those are the numbers you want to think about. Anything in between those are half steps or third steps, that kind of thing. So what we're doing with aperture is memorizing the numbers, identifying that as the hole gets smaller, the number that it represents that is a bigger number. Then it's depth of field. So 11 represents a smaller hole. 11 also represents a greater depth of field or a deeper depth of field. So when we look at F11, that's an F11 is what you're identifying it as. What we should be seeing with F11 is a depth of field. So what's focused all the way back here and what's focused forward here should be greater than what we see on, for instance, 5.6, right? Now, this is a little bit strange to look at only because you got things farther away, but I am identifying that this is in focus, this is soft, this is soft. Then I come down to your F11 over here, and this is soft, this is in focus, this is in focus. Now, the setup here is a little bit, the way you've got it presented here is kind of off. What we wanted was the same composition with the various depths of field. That would have been a better comparison. If it was the same setup there and you showed me the depth of field changes of the same composition, if you go to your peers and you see how they set it up in some of them, they've got the same composition over and over again, just a different depth of field. You can see very clearly how F11 and F6, how that's different. With yours, you got different compositions, which is cool. I love that you're moving around and doing all kinds of compositions, but it makes it a more of a challenge to really identify what's the difference between 5, 6, and 11, because you've got things placed in different places. So you've got the depth of field there, you've got the f-stops there. It's just a more of a challenge to identify it because you've got compositions in different spots. You've got it there though. And so, you know, we'll take it as it is. I'm glad that you at least are identifying it there, and you are seeing that 16 does something and 11 doesn't. You know, these experiments really are about introducing you to something, not making you the sort of quintessential master of the thing. It's meant to show you a thing. Now, what about this? How are things going with this one? So we've got the ISO here. You went F8 at a 60th. All right, there we are. Then you went F8, you went 16, 11, 16, 22, right? So there you are. You went 3 steps, smaller hole. Then you went 60, you went 30, 15, 8. So longer, longer, longer. Your exposures are exactly correct, right? So there is no difference between this, this, this. That's good, right? That's excellent because you did the correct solution. Everything is correct on all 3 of these. Perfect. This is a math problem. That's all it is. And you got the math problem correct. So you did the right job there. This one, this one, this one, you did it exactly right. There's no other way you did it. Not everybody got it right. Some people didn't get it right. You got it exactly right. Congratulations, Alexis. Not everybody did it right, but you did. Fantastic. I'm glad that you got that right. It's cool when you identify it though, because it's sort of like, oh, I see. I can do all these different combinations, get a different depth of field, but have the same exposure. Very nice image. Could be just slightly brighter. Not something that we couldn't correct in Photoshop. In Photoshop, we could take this up just a little bit. We want to get it just perfect in the camera, though. We don't want to build in a mistake. So just so you can identify, this would be qualified as just a little bit dark, photograph-wise, but it is correctable. Interesting image, though. I'm glad you didn't place the heart of the flower right in the middle there. This gets a little bit self-conscious where we're placing things there. Doesn't look quite as excuse me, quite as natural as some of the other ones. I like that you're playing around here. This one, you get a little bit of camera shake. Doesn't quite look as accomplished as some of your other ones. lighting wise. Here, you're in a better spot. You captured it. You got your sort of shallow depth of field going on. The quality of light is quite beautiful. I like what's happening there. This is much more interesting point of view than this. This one's more passive. This one is more about, here, let me show you something. This is quite beautiful as well. You see, when you're getting up into here, something like this, you're communicating something to us. It feels more like you're saying, hey, I want you to see something. This, I think you could probably tell, you could probably say the same thing. You're like, okay, it's more of a picture of a sort of sculpture on a table. Whereas this, you're taking the sculpture and you're communicating something about it to us. So this is really the difference between a picture of a thing and a photograph, using your photography to sort of express something there. So you did an excellent job. I mean, we had a few little glitches there format wise, but I think overall you're understanding the objectives of the project. We had some soft focus here in the better, but we're just experimenting with better there. This last photograph that you did for the better, picture number 45, I think is quite beautiful, quality of light and all of that. So really good stuff. And we'll see you in the studio. All right. Bye now.